Chosen woman. There are seasons in life when the weight of misunderstanding, judgment, and mockery becomes almost unbearable. People look at your struggle and assume it is your final state. They see your quietness and call it weakness. They see your suffering and believe God has abandoned you. But what they don't know is that God often hides his most powerful transformations inside the very pain people laugh at. Before he elevates a chosen woman, he allows her to walk through a valley that exposes who is truly for her and who is waiting to see her fall. You may have been overlooked, underestimated, or even ridiculed, but nothing they said or believed about you can stop what God is doing next. Every chosen daughter of God goes through a divine reversal, where the very people who mocked her will live long enough to watch God lift her. This is not just vindication, it is a spiritual repositioning. God is preparing to make your name echo in places where you were once ignored. He is preparing to elevate you in ways that no one can deny. And when God lifts you, no one can push you down. So if you have been feeling a shift, if you sense something breaking open in the spirit, this message is not a coincidence. It is a confirmation. Here are 9 signs God is lifting you above those who mocked you. God is ready to lift a chosen woman. He begins by removing people who cannot go where he is taking her. Suddenly, relationships that once felt familiar become uncomfortable, almost as if the atmosphere around them shifted without warning. Conversations no longer align because your spirit has evolved, and theirs has stayed the same. People who used to be close begin acting distant, cold, irritated, or strangely bothered by your presence, even when you've done nothing to provoke them. This separation is not personal, and it is certainly not rejection. It is divine protection disguised as distance. God is clearing the spiritual air around you so that no one can take credit for what he is about to do in your life. He is removing people who would secretly compete with you, sabotage you, drain you emotionally, or attempt to make your elevation about them. Even the ones who mocked you, laughed at your journey, doubted your potential, or spoke down on your name may suddenly fade out of your life because they will not have front row seats to God's elevation in you. When God begins lifting you, he isolates you so that you rise untouched, unmanipulated, unrecognized until the appointed time. He allows certain connections to die so that you won't carry dead weight into a season of glory. He lets certain friendships collapse so that you won't apologize for growing. He allows certain people to walk away so that your heart learns to depend on him alone. Separation feels lonely at first, but in the spiritual realm, it is the sound of God clearing the runway for your takeoff. You are not losing people, you are losing interference. And every woman God has ever chosen has walked through a season where he separated her from what was familiar, so he could lead her to what was divine. 2, you feel a supernatural calmness in the middle of chaos. There comes a moment where the things that used to break you no longer affect you, and the battles that once drained you lose their power completely. The words that once wounded your heart roll off your spirit like raindrops sliding off a shield. The opinions of others become irrelevant, not because you've become cold, but because God has strengthened you internally. This peace is not natural. It is supernatural evidence that God himself is stepping into your situation. When people expect you to react, you remain steady. When circumstances try to overwhelm you, you find rest where others would panic. That calmness is God whispering, "I am here. I am carrying you now." Mockers lose their influence when God gives you inner stability. Their insults lose their sting. Their gossip loses its ability to shake you. Their attempts to provoke you fall flat. When your spirit becomes unshakable, it is a sign that God is lifting you above the noise, above the drama, above the low vibrations of people who once believed your downfall was guaranteed. This calmness is not weakness. It is divine confirmation that the battle is no longer yours. It is God telling you, you don't have to fight this battle. I am handling it. The chaos around you may increase, but the peace within you becomes even stronger. The storm may roar, but your soul remains anchored. You stop wrestling for validation. You stop trying to convince people of your worth, and you stop responding to negativity because God has given you a peace that does not make sense to the natural mind. This calmness is proof that God is preparing to elevate you, not emotionally, not socially, but spiritually first. And when God gives you supernatural peace, it means He is already moving things in your favor behind the scenes where no eyes can see and no human can interfere. 3. What was closed to you begins to open supernaturally. Doors you once knocked on with no response suddenly swing open with ease, almost as though the resistance that once stood in your way was never real to begin with. Opportunities you thought were beyond your reach start appearing effortlessly, aligned perfectly with your purpose and timing. People who previously ignored your existence begin to notice you, respect you, and recognize your value. Without you having to announce it or prove anything, when God lifts you, He does it in such a way that even your enemies can see His fingerprints. Every blessing becomes a statement. Every open door becomes a divine announcement that God has remembered you, and the shift is so visible that no one can deny something supernatural is taking place. Those who mocked you for not having enough, not being enough, not achieving enough will soon wonder how you received so much so fast. They will question how you walked through doors that were once sealed shut. They will wonder how you gained access to rooms where your name was never mentioned before. What they don't realize is that God Himself has gone ahead of you to unlock what was withheld, to release what was delayed, and to position you where no human hand could place you. When God opens a door, it stays open. No jealousy can close it. No sabotage can block it. No witchcraft can interfere with it. No gossip can slow it down. These supernatural openings are God's way of showing you and the world that your time has come. The elevation was not man-made. It was not political. It was not manipulative. It was not forced. It was divine. And every door opening in your life is a sign that God is lifting you in a way that even those who once mocked your struggles will have no choice but to acknowledge His power. 4. You no longer desire to prove yourself to anyone. When God is about to lift you, He removes the desire to explain, defend, or validate yourself to people who were never meant to understand your calling. You stop trying to convince anyone of your value. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop dimming your light so others won't feel threatened. You stop forcing connections that drain you emotionally or spiritually. Instead, you begin walking in quiet purpose. You begin showing up as your true self without apology. You begin honoring the woman God designed you to be, instead of trying to fit the identity others assigned to you. And this quiet confidence is exactly what makes those who mocked you uncomfortable. They lose the power they once had over your emotions. They can no longer influence how you feel about yourself. They can no longer disrupt your journey with their opinions. You stop reacting because your spirit is no longer tied to their validation. God raises you internally before He raises you publicly. He strengthens your identity before He reveals your destiny. He heals your insecurities before He announces your elevation. And when you reach that point where you no longer need approval, applause, or acceptance, you become spiritually untouchable. God strips away the desire to prove yourself because He is preparing to prove you Himself. And the moment you stop explaining yourself is the moment God begins revealing you. 5. The people who mocked you start getting silent. When God begins lifting you, mockers become confused. Their voices weaken. Their insults lose momentum. Their gossip dries up. They no longer have anything to talk about because the things they laughed at no longer exist. The weaknesses they exaggerated no longer define you. The mistakes they magnified no longer have power over your story. Your growth disturbs them. Your transformation intimidates them. Your elevation silences them. Some will pretend not to see the change, but trust me, they notice. They see the glow. They see the shift. They see the blessings. They see the evidence of God's hand on your life. Their silence is not accidental. It is spiritual. God is humbling them by blessing you in ways they never expected. He is shutting their mouths without you having to say a single word. He is turning their mockery into quiet observation. And their silence is the first sign that God is already lifting you above their words, their doubts, and their attempts to belittle you. The same mouths that laughed at you will eventually speak of your testimony, not out of love, but out of undeniable recognition that God has elevated you beyond their reach. 6. You start receiving unexplainable favor. Your name begins to be mentioned in rooms you've never walked into. And doors begin opening in ways that cannot be explained through logic, connections, or human influence. People start helping you without you asking, without expecting anything in return, and without having any personal gain attached to their kindness. Opportunities begin falling into your lap in ways that feel too precise, too perfectly aligned, and too intentional to be called coincidence. Unexpected resources show up. Unexpected strangers support you. Unexpected solutions appear where there used to be roadblocks. It's not luck, it's divine favor. This is God rewriting your story in public, so that even those who mocked you, doubted you, misunderstood you, or dismissed you, start realizing that you were chosen all along. God lets them see the favor, so that they understand that their laughter did not limit you, their criticism did not define you, and their mockery did not stop what He ordained for your life. When divine favor rests on a chosen woman, everything she touches multiplies. Everything she speaks gains weight, and everything she pursues becomes marked by supernatural assistance. People who once overlooked you now seek your presence. People who once avoided you now try to align with you. People who once questioned your worth now attempt to learn from you. Favor announces itself without you having to speak, prove, or perform. It shifts atmospheres when you walk into a room. It opens doors that were welded shut. It places you on the hearts of people you've never met. It makes pathways where there were none. And it does all of this in such a dramatic, undeniable way that those who underestimated you begin to question how they ever mocked someone whose life was clearly covered by God. When favor begins flowing around you, through you, and for you, it is a sign that God is lifting you far beyond the reach of those who tried to belittle your destiny. 7. You outgrow the environments they tried to trap you. Your mindset begins to change so drastically that people who once felt familiar now feel foreign, and environments that once felt comfortable now feel spiritually suffocating. Your spirit expands. Your discernment sharpens. Your vision becomes clearer. You begin thinking bigger, dreaming bolder, praying deeper, and believing differently. Suddenly, you no longer fit into the circles they tried to confine you in. The rooms that once held you no longer match the woman God is shaping you into. The labels they placed on you no longer stick. The limits they imposed no longer apply. The places where they mocked you, belittled you, ignored you, or tried to keep you in your place can no longer contain the new identity God is birthing in you. When God lifts you, He elevates your identity first. He expands your thinking. He changes your habits. He upgrades your expectations. He renews your self-worth. And as this internal transformation takes place, the environments that once seemed normal begin to feel too small, too distracting, too draining, or too spiritually low for who you are becoming. You begin rising emotionally, no longer reacting to negativity. You rise spiritually, no longer tolerating what lowers your vibration. You rise mentally, no longer accepting what insults your intelligence or purpose. And eventually you rise materially, stepping into blessings, opportunities, and levels that your old environment could never have supported. The people who underestimated you realized too late that they were laughing at a woman God was preparing to elevate. They mocked you based on who you were, not understanding who you were becoming. They tried to trap you in their expectations while God was shaping you for something far greater than their approval. Outgrowing them is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is God removing you from places that cannot handle the woman you are evolving into. God exposes the hearts of those who mocked you. Elevation always comes with revelation. Before God lifts you publicly, He reveals privately who was for you, who was against you, and who was pretending. God starts showing you who mocked you behind your back, who secretly envied you, who spoke against you in dark places, who smiled at you but prayed for your downfall, and who was rooting for your failure while acting supportive. He reveals their intentions not to humiliate them, but to free you from soul ties, emotional attachments, and false loyalties. He is making sure that when He lifts you, you won't take the wrong people with you. Their mockery becomes their barrier to access. Their jealousy becomes their ceiling. Their hidden malice becomes their disqualification. God exposes them because He is separating your destiny from their opinions forever. Some people He reveals to you through conversations, others through sudden changes in behavior, and some through a spiritual heaviness you feel when they enter the room. He lets you overhear things. He lets you sense things. He lets people slip up and reveal themselves without meaning to. He lets the truth come out in ways that are impossible to ignore. And even though these revelations may sting, they come as a blessing wrapped in clarity. God is saying, "Now you know why I could not lift you earlier. You were surrounded by the wrong hearts." Once the exposure comes, you start seeing people for who they truly are, not who you wish they were. And when God exposes the hearts of mockers, He's preparing to elevate you beyond the reach of their words, their jealousy, and their secret intentions. 9. God gives you a victory so undeniable that even your mockers must admit, it was Him. This is the final and most powerful sign that God is lifting you. He blesses you in a way that no human can take credit for, no enemy can deny, and no mocker can explain away. It is a breakthrough so sudden, so loud, so transformational, and so undeniably divine that even those who spoke against you must confess, this had to be God. It is the kind of victory that silences entire groups of people, the kind that forces your doubters to respect you, the kind that shifts conversations, the kind that makes people reevaluate how they treated you. God gives you a blessing that is too big to be hidden, too supernatural to be ignored, and too purposeful to be misunderstood. The same mouths that mocked you will be the same mouths discussing your testimony. The same people who doubted you will watch in disbelief as God elevate you publicly. And the same ones who tried to keep you small will witness God stretch your life in ways they never imagined. This victory is not small. It is monumental. It is a divine exclamation mark on your story. It is God announcing, "I lift who I choose, and no mocker can stop my hand." When this moment arrives, everything shifts at once. Your status, your stability, your influence, your opportunities, your spiritual authority. And the beauty of it all is that God will make sure the mockers see it, so that His glory shines even brighter. This final victory is the evidence that God has lifted you above every word spoken against you. Chosen woman, if this message reached you at the exact moment you needed it, understand this: God is already lifting you. Your story is shifting. Your season is turning. And what God is about to do in your life will silence every mocker and magnify His glory. This is the Woman of Light channel. If you felt this word in your spirit, I invite you to subscribe, because more messages are coming that speak directly to your journey. And if you receive this message at the perfect time, type 1111 in the comments section as a sign of divine alignment and blessings over your life. Thank you for watching.